to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.
Welcome. This is the DENDAO meeting for May 1, 2025. May Day, May 1st. And what a new beginning for Den.Social, because Dragonchain's case is now over. They won. And we're going to be discussing that and a few other items that's on our agenda today. This is a meeting. And if you want to join us, go to the DENDAO Lair. And in the description, you'll see a StreamYard link. Just click on that. Cameras are optional. You don't have to show your face. And we will welcome you to the meeting. This meeting is, we do not discuss price or anything of that nature. But we do discuss items that are relevant to Den.Social. So, Joe might be joining us. He is busy wrapping up things to get, no, he's extremely busy after the case is now over. And he's trying to wrap up things because Dracaria is so close to being ready to launch. Excuse me. But today's agenda, we're going to look and see if there's any open governance votes. I don't believe so. I just checked before the meeting started. We're going to talk about Dragonchain's fight with the SEC and how they became victorious. We'll welcome new user and on the introduce yourself layer. Growing Den.Social, subscribe and follow, and then open forum if there's any comments during the meeting that I can address or do my best to address. So there we have it. That is the agenda today. Let me refresh this. So far, there are no open governance issues or governance votes to take place. And no, there isn't. If you have a proposal to make and you own some matter, you can do so. You can also make proposal changes to the layers that you have ownership in, such as maybe adding a tag or adding the capability for anonymous postings, or maybe in your layer that you have ownership in, you would like to propose to your fellow owners the ability to add video to the layer, such as, a link to YouTube. So there's all kinds of proposals that you can submit to the various layers, so long as you have ownership in those layers, which are lot tokens, layer ownership tokens. And you can also make proposals for site-wide proposals. And that's what this page is for, to show any governance votes if they've been approved or resolved. Next on our agenda is the Dragonchain Won Its Fight with the SEC. So I'm going to go over here. This is in the Dragonchain Lair. And today's morning show, which was at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1400 UTC time, Joe Rhodes does a weekly update on Dragonchain and its various things that are in the fire, shall we say, things that are built on Dragonchain. And anyway, the big topic, if you don't already know, last Friday, the press releases were done on Dragonchain. I did one for Den.Social that Dragonchain had won its case with the SEC. And this was huge because the dragon has been imprisoned, shackled, prevented to grow and to expand. And these were things that were happening for several years. Well, Dragonchain was victorious because the SEC dropped its case. They didn't have a case anyway. They dropped their case with prejudice, meaning they cannot come back and bring it back to the courts. And so the idea or concept or concern that Dragonchain was, shall we say, unregistered security, that's over and solved and done with. It's not, because they dropped their case against it. And there are other things that go along with the SEC case. And I encourage you to click on this link and listen to Joe's remarks this morning. They were extensive and interesting. You'll find it very informative. So you can either watch last Friday's release, and by the way, Greg from Rivet was there. He played a critical and key role in its legal battles against the U.S. government or the SEC. And so I'd already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. Let me grab my Emperor's Cup here. To you, Joe, and to the Dragon team, you did it. You slayed the biggest evil that was waging war against you, and that was the SEC. And you did it. You were victorious. You fought the good fight, and you won. Good triumphed over evil. Toast and cheers. All right. So there we have it. Also, in the Dragonchain Lair, you can find this post. It says the SEC dismissal case against Dragonchain, a victory for innovation. And this gives you the case history, how Dragonchain is America's blockchain, how it was birthed out of Disney. It was created by and Joe wrote, the Dragonchain founder and chief architect. And it was built here in America. And its real world impact, Den.Social for one, DEX, Dracaria, World Blockchain Roundtable. By the way, if you didn't, it's every Thursday morning after the Super Happy Dragon Lucky Show. But it just hit a mile marker 206, episode 206. In 2 weeks, it will be 208, which is 4 years that show has been running. It is a DAO-based show. That DAO is managed and administered right here on Den.Social, and shows the power of an audience being able to have essentially tokenization of the show so that they can propose topics, themes, and post proposals on themes, and people can vote on the questions so that the panelists, answer the top performing or question on that week's show. It's amazing. I don't think there's anything like it in the world. And it shows the power of Dragonchain and the power of Den.Social, and including the audience. So in 2 weeks, it will be 4 years old. Amazing, amazing run. Dracaria is about ready to launch. Like I said, World Blockchain Roundtable, and Eternal, which is a free utility place to post information on chain. So the real world impacts of Dragonchain, and there's a lot more coming. And by the numbers, Dragonchain statistics, the Dragon token and sale model, the Dragonchain innovations and firsts. Look at all this, including time, which is base scalability, multi-language smart contracts, enterprise smart contracts, orchestration, gated access. There's so much. There are patents. Dragonchain has patents, which Joe announced, the tokenization of those patents that will be put on the DEX. And by the way, that's DEXX. And what's next for Dragonchain? Joe talked a lot about this on the Friday press release, as well as on this morning's show. Things like Asylum and the Dracaria, and the expansion of the Eternal report. And of course, we're going to talk about this, the reimagining of Den.Social as the platform. That's the concept that we've been working on with some other individuals on kind of a rebranding of Den.Social. Still going to require a DAO vote, and the white paper's in the works, and it's a rebranding of Den.Social to D-Platform. The idea being that we are a place for free speech, and free speech with unlimited reach, not free speech with limited reach like on X, not free speech that's been shadow banned. But there are numerous people around the world that do not have a home because of political censorship. And they've been deplatformed, they've been censored, or maybe they're still on platforms, but they're having to kind of walk on eggshells, being careful what they say. And there needs to be a site that has not just text-based and images like memes and this kind of thing, but also video in such a way that these individuals, and there's millions of them around the world, and some are very influential people with large followings that have even had to uproot from their country and move to a different country so that they can speak openly. And there have been numerous people that have approached different individuals who led it back to Joe and Den and myself, looking for a new home and looking to build a new home. And that's what we're talking about here. Also, the expansion of DEX, like I said, and by the way, we'll go back, we'll dig more into deplatform in the coming weeks. But going back to partnering with DEX, things like tokenizing the patents that Joe talked about on Friday, and putting them on DEX. So now people can share in, shall we say, the ownership of, I don't know if ownership is the correct wording here, but share in the power of patent technology and owning a patent. Launching Humane Intelligence, which is a behavior tech as transparent and human-first alternative to black box AI, with working products and open documentation. I don't know much about that, but it sure sounds intriguing. And of course, reviving, this is exciting, Dragonchain's incubator. For many of you who don't know what incubator was, it's kind of a new way of building various projects under Dragonchain, and builders to create their version or their vision, shall I say, of a utility product, and maybe seeking out funding. And so it's an incubator. So that's some of the things that are next for Dragonchain. And of course, there was a word of thanks from Joe and the team, a deep gratitude to David Otto, John Deaton, and Greg Lang, all of those who helped get Dragonchain over the finish line and beat the SEC. And I personally want to say a deep felt sincere thank you, and not just for the job well done, but I know that Joe's family has personally suffered from this long legal battle. And like I've said on World Blockchain Roundtable, that it was David versus Goliath, and he persevered. He showed what not compromising your values and not compromising your principles in a fight. And I know the family and his family has suffered because of this fight that was being waged against him personally, as well as the whole Dragonchain community. So to everyone really who stuck through it thick and thin during the darkest days with dark clouds hanging over, and not seeing maybe was there really a way out, when it was wonderful to see that the SEC's crypto task force made a turn and a change as the new chairman, Paul Atkins, the Commissioner Mark Aouda, Commissioner Hester Pierce, and special thanks to Jorge Tenorito for their IT support. So if you want to go see this posting, it's in the Dragonchain Lair, and you can just search under SEC dismisses, and you'll find it with this coat of arms. So that is the Dragon case update. It's now behind us. It's good news. All right. Welcome new users and introduce yourself, Lair. You know, Dragonchain has, let me come over here, discover layers. Control F, introduce yourself. And this is where new users post an introduction to themselves. And I'm encouraging all my denizens, my fellow denizens, please come over here and show some love to a new denizen, Bug Boy. and share some love with him or her. Give them some energy, and give them some tips on how to use the site, and post a nice welcoming of some sort. Like I like to show this red carpet welcoming them to Jin, and I boosted this post so everyone can see it and show some love to our new denizen who's joined our family. All right. But that's important for us to grow this site, is when we have new users come in that we, open our arms and welcome them, and make them feel at home. So please do that. Growing Den.Social, and subscribe and follow. This is what I'm talking about. Following us on YouTube, following us on X, following us on Telegram, and doing those small gestures show that Den.Social has a reach. It has users that are effective in their support on alternative programs or alternative platforms. Because here's the real deal. Sometimes people don't know what Den.Social is, and they'll look it up on X, or they'll look it up on YouTube or wherever, or they'll Google it or something like that on Telegram. They're going to look or search it up and try to find what is Den.Social. And if it shows weak numbers in some of those other applications that are pointing to Den, then they're going to just pass it over and move on. So please, I'm asking you to follow, Den.Social on YouTube, on X, and Telegram. Now, growing Den also means that, who knows, maybe we need a new rebranding thing like this deplatform concept. And I'm putting it out there to you in this meeting. I want to hear what your thoughts are, what your feelings are on that name, deplatform, and the idea behind it. Remember, there are people out there that need a place to have a free and open place to debate ideas and concepts without censorship. Den.Social is essentially decentralized. It doesn't have a central core of individuals who are controlling an algorithm that is trying to dictate or manipulate its users to thinking a certain way, or only certain political philosophies or narratives. We as fellow denizens, we are the algorithm by providing upvotes and downvotes. And that's what we want to see. That's what we want. That's what society needs. That's why I'm here. So, there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be flowing here in the next few weeks about rebranding Den.Social. And will require a DENDAO vote when that time is ready. And who knows? Maybe the DAO will have spoken and we go to a different direction than deplatform. But everything seems to be pointing that way. And there's interested individuals who, like I said, have uprooted from their own home countries, seeking out a place for free political discourse. What do you folks think? So need your feedback. Let me hit refresh here and see if there's any open comments or items to discuss. Whoops. What happened here? I guess I hit the wrong button. Hang on, people. Here we go. Fellow denizens. All right. Now that we've refreshed, no, there aren't any additional comments. So that is our meeting agenda today. We talked about if there were any open governance votes. There weren't any. Salute and cheers and congratulations to Dragonchain on its victory. Please go in and welcome new users. Show some love. Growing Den.Social. Follow us on alternative platforms to bump up those numbers. I keep drilling this week after week after week. And lastly, what do you think about the idea of rebranding Den.Social? What do you think of it? Having an appeal to those who are looking for, free speech without, censorship that's rampant on most big tech platforms. What do you think of the name deplatform? We need your feedback. So there we have it. Next week's meeting, again, same time, same channel. It's 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. Eastern. What is it? I want to say 2000 UTC time. So I look forward to your comments, your thoughts, and we'll see you in next week's meeting. On the way out, by the way, there was a video that was dropping last night on Den and YouTube talking about what big tech doesn't want you to know about Den.Social. But there was an error and there was no sound, no audio. So look for that getting posted later today or tonight. So there we have it. Thank you, everybody. On the way out, we will talk about the roles of a denizen. That concludes today's meeting on May 1st, 2025 for the DENDAO. I am the emperor of DENDAO, Den.Social. Thank you very much, everybody. Be safe.
Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.